in the heart of Lagos, where the rich build towers so high they kiss the clouds and the poor sleep beneath streetlights. There lived a man whose life was the very definition of perfection. His name was Zain Olanrewaju, a self-made tech billionaire. Tall, chiseled, and magnetic, he wasn't just admired. He was idolized. They called him the Golden Prince of Africa. His face was on the covers of every magazine. His company, ZTECH Global, had transformed lives. And yet, beneath the polished interviews and the red carpet smiles, Zain was empty, lonely, haunted by a feeling he couldn't explain. The world worshipped him, but not a single soul truly knew him. It was a night like any other rain painting. The glass walls of his 24th floor penthouse, thunder murmuring across the sky. Zain sat alone on his designer couch, staring out into the night. From this high, he could see the whole city stretch before him, chaotic, vibrant, breathing. But something strange tugged at his attention. There she was, a girl, standing completely still on the wet pavement below. She wore a ragged brown shawl, her clothes torn and soaked. No umbrella, no shoes, just stillness. Head tilted upward. Staring straight at him. Zain blinked. She didn't move. He leaned closer to the glass. Her skin was pale under the streetlight, her long hair clinging to her face like silk threads. Her eyes? He couldn't quite see them, but they seemed wide, hollow, like she wasn't just looking at the building, she was looking at him. He turned away, shaken for a reason he couldn't explain. But the next night, she was there again, and the night after that, always in the same place. Always staring up at his window. At first, he thought it was coincidence. Some poor homeless soul finding shelter near his building. But no one ever interacted with her. No one gave her food. No one even seemed to see her. It was like she was invisible. To the world sect to him. One night, he gave in to curiosity. He took the private elevator down, stepping into the cold night with a black umbrella and a box of food from his chef's kitchen. As he walked toward her, the rain felt sharper than usual, almost colder. She didn't flinch, didn't look away. "Hey," Zain said softly, stopping a few feet away. She didn't respond. "I brought you something. You've been out here every night." He extended the box. Still, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she tilted her head further. Her voice was low, almost like a whisper from somewhere far away. "You live high, but your soul is low." Zain blinked. "What?" She finally looked at the box in his hands. Then, she raised her eyes to his again. They were deep, too deep. Like looking into the past, or into death. "You don't have to feed me. Not yet." He was startled. Not yet. She turned and walked into the alley beside the building, disappearing into darkness like smoke. Zain stood there, shaken. He looked around. No witnesses. Just the sound of rain and his own heartbeat. That night, he barely slept. He replayed her words over and over. Not yet. The next day, Zain tried to distract himself with meetings and calls, but the boardroom felt hollow. The numbers on the stock chart, meaningless. All he could think about was her face. That night, she was there again. Same spot. Same haunting stare. This time, he didn't hesitate. "Wait," he called, approaching her. She turned to him, her eyes dark pools. "I don't want to bother you," he said, "but I need to understand. Why are you here? Why every night?" "I'm waiting," she replied. "For what?" She looked up at the tower, then back at him. For the moment, the glass shatters. He felt a chill run down his spine. "You need help?" he said, trying to keep calm. "You shouldn't be out here. Come inside, at least warm up." She hesitated. Her eyes flickered uncertainty. Or fear. After a long silence, she nodded. "Just once, Zane led her inside through the side entrance to avoid the front desk. The warmth of the building seemed to swallow her, but she made no comment. She said nothing as they ascended in the elevator. In his penthouse, she stood still, dripping rainwater on the polished floors. She refused the food he offered. Instead, she walked slowly to the window, the same one she always looked at from the street. "This is what you see," she said. Zane stood behind her. "Every night." "I used to see the stars from rooftops," she murmured. "This city buried them, buried everything." He was drawn to her sadness. It was raw, it was real. Something rare in his world of luxury and lies. "What's your name?" he asked. She turned to him. "Ayura." Zane offered a small smile. "I'm Zane. I know," she whispered. "Everyone knows you." For the first time, she smiled back. It was small, but it made her whole face change. There was beauty, hidden beneath the grime and wear. Beauty and something else. Something ancient. That night, she slept on his couch, curled under a blanket like a child. Zane lay awake for hours, watching her from across the room. At exactly 3 a.m., she began to hum. A strange melodic tune. It's an old lullaby. It wasn't in any language he recognized, and when he checked the security footage the next morning, the couch was empty. Ayura was nowhere to be found. The morning sun flooded the penthouse, casting gold across the marble floors, but Zane's eyes were fixed on the couch. The blanket was folded neatly, the cushion untouched, and Ayura gone without a sound, without a door opening, without triggering a single security camera. He sat frozen, staring at the footage over and over again. From 2:59 a.m. to 3:01 a.m. nothing, but he remembered. She was there. She hummed. A lullaby that still echoed in his head. Had he dreamt it? Had his loneliness finally twisted itself into delusion? Yet, when he walked past the couch, the faintest trace of her perfume, something earthy, like wet roses and ash, still lingered. That evening, as the city lit up and the sky turned ink black, Zane took the elevator down again. Part of him expected her to be gone, just a figment of his unraveling mind. But no, Ayura was there. Same place, same posture, as if she had never moved, never left. "You vanished," he said gently, approaching her. "I didn't vanish," she replied. "You just weren't looking." Zane's heart beat faster. "I watched the footage. You weren't in it." She tilted her head. "I never am." There was something about the way she spoke though her words came from a place far beyond the physical. "I want to help you," Zane said. "Please, come up again. Let me just understand you better." Ayura looked at him for a long time. Eyes shimmered with something that wasn't just sadness, was history. Like she'd lived 1,000 lives in a single glance. Finally, she nodded. That night, she returned to the penthouse, and this time, she stayed. She still refused to eat. She sat by the window, always by the window. She hummed again at 3 a.m., and Zane recorded it on his phone. But in the morning, the audio was blank. Silent, as if the tune never existed. "I want to know more about you," he told her one evening as they watched the rain together. "There's not much to tell," she replied. "I once had a name, a home, a dream. Now, I have none of those things. You have me." The words escaped before he could stop them. Ayura turned to him slowly. "Do I?" Zane nodded, quietly, and in that moment, something shifted between them. She touched his hand. Her fingers were cold, but soft. "Zane," she said, "you are kind. But kindness can attract more than gratitude. Sometimes, it attracts the forgotten." "What does that mean?" "You will know soon enough." The days blurred. Zane canceled meetings, ignored calls. All that mattered was Ayura. He found himself watching her sleep, though she never really seemed to rest. Her eyes would close, but he always felt she was aware, awake behind the lids. One night, she walked barefoot across the marble floor and approached a large wall mirror. Zane followed her. "Do you see it?" she asked. "See what?" She pointed. And for a second, just 1 second, Zane saw something flicker in the reflection. A shadow, her shadow. But it wasn't hers. It was taller, twisted, hollow-eyed. And it stood behind her. He gasped. She turned calmly. "It's always been with me, since the fire." "What fire?" But she didn't answer. Zane began researching. He hired private investigators, paid off city records departments, and dug through every newspaper archive. He searched for a girl named Ira who matched her description, and then he found it. A house fire. 5 years ago, a photo in the news showed a young woman, her Ira. The article read, "Girl found dead in abandoned apartment fire, suspected arson." No family, no known friends. His heart dropped. Dead. 5 years ago. It couldn't be. He printed the article, brought it to her. "Is this you?" he asked, breathless. Ira looked at the paper. Her expression didn't change. "That's who I was," she said. But death isn't always the end. Not when betrayal binds the soul to the world. Zane felt the air grow colder. "Who betrayed you?" he whispered. She looked at him. Deeply. "You'll remember." Soon, Zane's dreams grew darker. He saw her in flames, screaming. He saw a man standing over her with a knife. That man had his face. He woke up in cold sweats, trembling. One night, he asked her directly, "What do you want from me?" Ira stepped closer. Her voice was soft. "I don't know anymore. At first, I thought I wanted vengeance. But then I met you, and you were different. Kind, but your soul is stained with echoes of a past you've forgotten. You think I hurt you. No, but someone who looked like you did." The next morning, Zane's dog usually barked violently at Ira. She didn't flinch. The dog backed away, whining. His assistant called, "Zane, something strange is happening. 3 of your top clients pulled out this morning. One of our servers caught fire. And there's a weird pattern in the security footage glitches. Faces repeating, eyes missing." Zane's world was unraveling, and at the center of a Tira. But he couldn't let her go. He didn't want to, even if she wasn't human. Because when she smiled at him, he felt whole. Even if her smile didn't always reach her eyes. Even if, sometimes, when he looked too closely, her reflection didn't move with her. And so, Zane made a decision. He would uncover the truth, who she really was, what had really happened, and why deep in his soul he felt like he owed her something far greater than love. There are many kinds of love, the kind that heals, the kind that inspires, and the kind that destroys. Zane was falling deeper. And it didn't matter that everything around him was crumbling. His board of directors threatened to remove him. Investors pulled out without reason. Friends stopped visiting. His dog refused to enter the same room as Ira, and yet none of it mattered. Ira had become his world. He began to ask fewer questions. Not because he stopped caring, but because her presence numbed him. Every time he touched her hand, every time she hummed that eerie lullaby at 3 a.m., he forgot the panic, the doubt. His home changed, subtly at first. A mirror cracked for no reason. The air turned cold at night, no matter how high the thermostat. Footsteps echoed down the hall, even when they were both in the same room. One day, a maid quit without explanation. The next day, a second one, by the third week. Only Zane and Ira remained in the penthouse. She moved like she had always lived there. Graceful, quiet. Sometimes she would hum while staring at the rain. Sometimes she would vanish into a room and not come out for hours. Zane caught glimpses of her reflection in dark glass. It wasn't always hers. Sometimes it was someone else. Sometimes it moved when she did not. But he didn't confront her because he loved her. One night, she stood in the kitchen, bathed in the glow of the refrigerator light. She wasn't eating, just standing there, staring at the flickering bulb. "Zane," she said, "do you ever wonder who you were before this life?" He leaned against the counter. "Not really. You should." "Why?" "Because the past has a way of finding you." They grew intimate. Zane, once cold and guarded, opened to her in ways he never had with anyone. Ira never flinched when he cried in his sleep. She never asked him to explain his fears. She just sat beside him, holding his hand, humming that lullaby. And in those quiet hours, he thought, maybe this was what peace felt like, until the nightmares began. He dreamt of a village in flames, screaming, a girl tied to a stake. Her face was Ira's but younger, full of fire and rage. He saw men in masks, rituals, blood spilled in circles, and always, his own face among them, not him, but someone who looked exactly like him. A man from another time. Zane woke up gasping for air. Ira sat at the foot of the bed, watching him. "You saw him, didn't you?" He nodded, trembling. "The one who wears your face." "I don't understand," Zane whispered. "How can I dream things I've never lived?" "Because your soul remembers," she said, "even if your mind does not." He started digging deeper. Past lives, reincarnation, soul echoes. He found an old monk who agreed to meet with him in secret. "You carry a karmic burden," the monk told him after a long silence. "A soul tangled with another across lifetimes. The woman you love now, she once died cursing your name." Zane's stomach turned. "So this is punishment?" "No," the monk replied. "It's a test to see if you can choose differently this time." That night, Zane told Ira everything. She listened, unmoved. Then she said, "I was born in the village of Arani. I was accused of being a witch. They burned my home, killed my family, and the one who gave the order wore your face. His name was Zuberi." Zane's eyes widened. "That's my great-grandfather's name." Ira smiled faintly. "Of course it is. So you think I'm him?" "No, but his soul echoes through you, and the curse, it binds us still." Zane took her hand. "I'm not him, I swear. I would never hurt you." She looked at him sadly. "Then prove it. Break the chain. Choose love over legacy." "What do I have to do?" she whispered in his ear. And what she said chilled him to the bone. But he didn't run, because he had already given her his heart. The next day, he proposed. A diamond ring, candlelight, no cameras, no press. Just the two of them. Ira stared at the ring for a long time. Then she said yes, and as she slipped the ring onto her finger, the lights flickered. A cold wind blew through the penthouse, even though every window was closed. Zane ignored it. He pulled her close, but her reflection in the glass behind them was smiling, a little too wide. They planned a quiet ceremony. But in the days that followed, things worsened. Zane began to bleed from his nose at 3 a.m. Mirrors shattered around him. He couldn't enter certain rooms without feeling like he was being watched. Ira kept humming, but the lullaby changed. It grew darker, almost like a chant. He asked her one night, "Are we cursed?" She leaned her head against his chest. "No," she said. "We're chosen." But Zane began to doubt. He revisited her grave. It was still there, overgrown, forgotten. He placed a flower on it, and when he turned, he saw a boy, a street child, thin. Watching him, "Are you the one who took her?" the boy asked. Zane froze. "What?" The boy smiled. she used to sing to me. Before she died, she said her soul would follow the man who burned her until he gave her peace. Who are you? Zane asked, but the boy vanished. Into thin air, Zane returned home. Ayira stood by the window, wearing a black veil. I went to your grave, he said. She turned slowly. Then you've seen the truth. We cannot be together unless one of us dies again. Zane stepped back. What? You know what must be done. The wind howled. Thunder cracked, and Ayira was no longer just Ayira. Her skin flickered. Her eyes hollowed. Her voice split into echoes. You must choose, Zane, me, or the life you built. The storm outside wasn't just rain and thunder. It was something older, something deeper. Zane felt it in his bones, as if the earth itself were trying to speak through the sky. Ayira stood before him, her veil now lifted, her eyes empty, glowing faintly in the dark room. He saw her for who she truly was. Not a girl, not a ghost, but a soul bound in rage, tragedy, and unfulfilled justice. Zane stumbled backward. What are you? Ayira's voice echoed not just in the room, but in his mind. I was once a daughter, a healer, a bride-to-be. Then fire took it all, and the man who gave the order wore your face. She stepped forward, the floor creaking beneath her barefoot steps. You are not Zuberi, but his blood runs through you. Zane's breathing became ragged. He grabbed the nearest table to steady himself. You said we could break the chain, that I could choose differently. You still can, she said, but it comes with a price. The candles in the room flickered violently. The lights went black. The penthouse filled with cold air that no heater could fight. Ayira lifted her palm and revealed a small black stone with crimson markings pulsing like a heartbeat. This was forged in the last moment of my breath. It carries all the pain, the betrayal, the promise I made before I died, that I would return and he would feel what I felt. Zane shook his head. But I'm not him. I didn't do any of it. But you love me, she whispered. And that means everything. It means you can take the burden in his place. Zane backed away. You want me to die? No, she said. I want you to sacrifice. There's a difference. She reached into the air and, just like that, they were no longer in the penthouse. The walls melted into ash. The floor beneath them became a cracked altar covered in ancient carvings. Flames surrounded the perimeter like a breathing cage. They were standing in the burned cage. They were standing in the burned remains of her village. The spiritual plane. Zane looked around, disoriented. Shadows of villagers screamed. Children cried. A woman wept, holding a lifeless girl in her arms. Ayira, and behind it all stood Zuberi's great-grandfather, wearing royal armor, his eyes like stone. Zane gasped. He saw his own face twisted with cruelty in Zuberi's. Ayira stood next to him. He believed I had cursed his cattle, Kea, that I caused the drought. But all I did was say no to his proposal. Kea May clenched his fists. I'm not him, Kea, but you are his redemption, Ayira said. That's the point. The spirit of Zuberi turned to face them. You will carry the mark, it said, voice cold as ice. You will remember the screams. You will remember the fire. Zane's body convulsed. Pain surged through him. Symbols appeared on his chest, glowing red and burning through his skin. Ayira placed her hand on his heart. I can take it back, she said softly. But you must choose. Break the bond, and I vanish forever. Or bear it with me and stay cursed. Zane stared into her eyes. You love me? He asked. Yes, she said. But I don't know if love is enough to save us. Suddenly, they were back in the penthouse. Zane collapsed to the floor, chest burning, gasping. The markings were gone, but the pain remained. Era stood near the window again. Humming, he dragged himself toward her. You said you were waiting for the glass to shatter. She turned, her face solemn, and it just did. From that moment, everything accelerated. Zane began seeing shadows during the day, hearing whispers in water. When he walked, he felt invisible eyes on his back. He stopped answering calls. His face was pale, his energy drained. He no longer recognized himself in the mirror, but he clung to Ira like a man clings to a rope above a pit. She held him every night, whispered stories of her past, before the fire, before the betrayal. They laughed. They wept. It was real, but it was also doomed. One night, Zane found a letter tucked into his pillow in Ira's handwriting. I wanted you to save me. But you were the one who needed saving. The love we shared was beautiful, but I don't belong in your world. He searched the entire penthouse. She was gone. Not just missing, erased. No fingerprints, no clothes, no scent. Security footage, empty, even. The ring he gave her was gone. Zane was hollow. He walked the streets in a daze, slept under bridges, refused to eat. The press called it a mental breakdown, but he knew the truth. She had taken the curse with her. For now, until the night he returned. Home after months in exile, lonely to find one thing waiting on the marble floor. A single black stone with crimson marks, pulsing like a heartbeat. They say some loves never die. Others never stop haunting. Zane had vanished from the public eye. The golden prince of Lagos, the tech mogul. The billionaire heartthrob was now just a name, whispered with pity. People said he lost his mind. Others claimed he was cursed, but Zane knew better. He had loved someone who was no longer of this world. Someone bound by rage, betrayal, and something deeper than vengeance. And now, she was gone. Or so he thought. It began again with the stone. The same obsidian black relic with the glowing red veins. Left in the center of his penthouse floor like a dropped heart still pulsing. Zane stood frozen. His skin crawled. His breath fogged the air in the warm room. He bent slowly, picked it up, and the lights shattered all of them. That night, he heard the lullaby. It echoed through the air vents, curled beneath doors, whispered into his dreams. Her lullaby, Ira's voice. She was back, but not like before. This time, it wasn't love that followed, it was something darker. He began to see her in reflections, in the shower glass, in the screens of turned-off TVs, in the puddles on the street, her face, but twisted, burned, crying black tears. He went to a priest, an old man in the outskirts of town, who had once helped a haunted governor. Zane showed him the stone, told him everything. The priest's face turned gray. You didn't just fall in love with a spirit, the priest said. You welcomed her. You made her feel alive. And now her soul clings to you like a twin flame that refuses to die. Can I fix it? Zane whispered. The priest hesitated. There is a ritual, he said, but it is cruel. You must walk through her memory, through her death, and you must choose to carry her burden forever. Or let her be judged by the spirits. What happens if I do nothing? She'll take you with her, one piece at a time, until you forget you ever lived. Zane agreed. The ritual began under a blood moon. He drank from a gourd. Fire was lit in a circle. The priest chanted, and Zane's body fell to the floor, moving. But his mind, his soul, entered the veil. He stood once more in Arenatha, burning village. But this time, he wasn't just watching. He was feeling the heat, the betrayal, the ropes biting into his wrists. He was Ira. Through her eyes, he saw the mob. He saw Zuberi's great-grandfather spit at her feet. He heard the accusations, felt the flames, heard her scream his name, not Zuberi.Zayne. Even then, she had seen him. She had known their souls had crossed time. The vision shifted. Now he stood in the ash of her grave. A child version of Ira knelt beside him, eyes hollow. "You said you loved me," she whispered. "I still do," he said, falling to his knees. "Then carry it," she whispered. "Carry all of me, not just the love, carry the fire, the grief, the curse." Zane's chest ached. "I will," he said. "I choose you, every part of you, in every life." She leaned forward, kissed his forehead, and when he opened his eyes, he was back in the priest's hut. But something had changed. His reflection now showed two shadows. Always two, one of him and one of her. Ira seemed rebuilt. He never returned to the public eye. He never returned to the public eye. He donated his company, sold his wealth. He walked the streets now, offering food to the homeless, sitting with the forgotten every full moon. He left a rose at her grave, and every year on the anniversary of her death, witnesses swore they heard a lullaby drift across the city. A lullaby that made even the hardest hearts weep. Some say he still lives in the old penthouse, alone. Others say he walks between the world of the living and the dead. Ira always by his side, unseen. But one thing is certain, love didn't save them. It transformed them. It bound them forever. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.